All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of Black Sheep Podcast. We're just going to jump right into it, baby. I think I ended last week the way I wanted to end it. I don't think I missed anything. I was pretty happy with it. So, yeah, going to talk about weddings today. And if anybody, first of all, let's just knock this out. Yes, I got my nose pierced. No reason to ask why or whatever, because I wanted to, motherfuckers. All right, episode 3, baby. We're going to talk about weddings. As a lot of you know, your boy's getting married soon. This fall, right? Yeah, fall, this October. Getting married. And, I know with weddings, a lot of people talk about how stressful the planning process is, finding vendors, finding a location, um, all that. I'm so lucky because it wasn't hard or stressful at all for me. When I found out I was paying for my wedding on my own, I jumped right into looking at places, looking for people, and everything's booked. All my contracts are signed, all my deposits are paid for, and I am so excited. But the things I want to get into because I dealt with it for a short period of time when I first got engaged, but I dealt with it, and I'm sure plenty of other people deal with it. Is the first thing is just people's input. Like people feel so entitled to have say in what you do and how you do it, but like they don't pitch in to help you. It's like if you're not pitching in, if you're not helping, if you're not paying for this, you don't get a say, man. Be happy if you're even invited. Um, but yeah, if you're engaged, if you're planning on getting engaged, if you're planning a wedding, don't let anybody talk you out of anything you want to do. If you want to have it at a specific venue, have it there. If you want to have a certain um, type of wedding, like religious wise or whatever it is, do it. Luckily for me, and I don't know if many people agree with it, but it's what I wanted. One of my closest friends, somebody I've been friends with since God, elementary school. He got ordained and he's marrying us, and I'm so happy about that because I'd rather have basically a brother marry me and my fiance rather than some random dude. That's just me, but yeah. So yeah, just don't feel obligated to do things because people want you to. You and your significant other, that's all that matters. Whatever you guys want to do is what you're going to do. Now I understand if people are paying for your wedding, that might be a little different. I'm sure if people are paying for your wedding, their say is a little more meaningful and you might want to take that into consideration. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury. And I say unfortunately just because I say unfortunately because I think it's wrong that I'm not having help in places you would think I have help. But at the same time, and friends have made me realize this, certain family members have made me realize this. If people aren't gonna help, you don't gotta worry about pleasing them. If they're not gonna help, you don't gotta worry about doing what they want you to do with your wedding. And they're right. Now I look back at it and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm doing it. Figured it out. Um, so yeah, I'll leave it at that. And I'm sure plenty of people are watching this and they're like all shocked and like, what? Nobody's paying for it. You're lying. You're making that. Nah. And with that being said, I want it to be known that I'm sure there's rumors going around, words going around that I want a small wedding. That is not the case. My wedding is going to be smaller than I'd like it to be. Unfortunately, I can't invite everybody I want to invite, both friends and family. Like, I just can't afford to have everybody there, which absolutely sucks. Um, but it wasn't by choice. So if you heard that I or we wanted a small wedding, that is not true at all. It's just going to be smaller than we'd like because that's all I can afford. Um, and like I was saying, I'm sure people who know me are like, that's a lie. That's there's no way people aren't helping you. Like I said, all my deposits are paid, all my contracts are signed, and I did it without any help. And at this point, the weddings, everything's budgeted out, everything is signed for. It's too late. So if people see this or hear from others about how open I am about paying for my own wedding, it's too late. I mean, there was plenty of time. I've been engaged since August. Right? Yeah, August 7th. Beginning of August, I've been engaged. It's now April. Um, my shit's ready to go, baby. So yeah. Um, I do appreciate, I have had friends and family contribute, um, either to my registry or just, money wise, um, as like gifts, whether it was for the holiday or for the wedding, whatever it is. I do appreciate all the early gifts, um, because it will go towards, um, there's a few things it could go towards. It can go towards kind of paying off this wedding. It can go towards a possible honeymoon. It can go towards a house. Um, yeah, I'm just thankful for all the generous gifts so far. But yeah, I'm very happy. I'm very excited to see how this wedding is gonna all come together. Because as of right now, I can't even really picture it. Obviously we know where it is. Um, we know everything. Our photographer, our DJ, our caterer, everything's planned, everything's put together. I can't really picture it. Like I'm excited to just see everything come together. Um, I'm probably gonna come back. I probably didn't say everything I wanted to say. But let's talk about like the stressful parts because I make it seem like there was no stress at all. At all, there was. Right after I got engaged, I did ask people if they want to help, and you know, got shut down. It is what it is. Um, didn't necessarily like how I got shut down because I feel like people kind of like lied to me. They kind of like wanted to walk around my emotions, I guess. I don't know. I think if people don't want to help, they should just come out and say, I don't want to help. I think it's wrong when people act like, they can't afford to help or make up some other bullshit. I think that's wrong. But again, it is what it is. So that was stressful part number one was right after the engagement, finding out that like I was gonna be doing this on my own. But again, I'm happy now. I'm happy I'm doing it on my own. Nobody can have a say. Nobody, and if they have a say, it means absolutely nothing to me, unless it's my fiance, of course. Um, Another stressful part was, and again, I'm not throwing hate towards anybody. It's over with. It happens for a reason. But we had like a photographer booked, and we went to go do engagement photos, and we drove like 2 hours out, um, or like an hour and a half. It was a drive for engagement photos. And we got there, and my fiance texted the photographer, and the photographer was like, "Oh, that's not today," or something like that. When like clearly we scheduled it, like it was all in text. We clearly scheduled it for that day and that time. So when that happened, we just bailed on that photographer. So heads up, make sure you sign a contract with all of your vendors. And again, no hate to that person. Mistakes happen. It's just I couldn't risk that happening on our actual wedding day. So I feel like that was like a sign, like, hey, go with an actual company, go with a professional photographer. um yeah, so that's that. um Sorry, some people are texting me and it threw me off guard. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say on the topic right now, just because again, everything's booked. There's no bad blood between anybody. It is what it is. Thank you to those who contributed, but um I feel like I shouldn't have to be quiet about having to pay for it myself. I know that stories are being told that this is, I want something small. I want to do it on my own. That's not the case at all. It's just the position I was put in. So please, um, if there's any confusion, just come to me and I'll straight up tell you because it's my wedding. I'll tell you. Um, and again, for those planning weddings, sign your contracts, have somebody legit. Um, yeah, I don't want to get too specific with a lot of things. I don't want to upset anybody. Um, yeah, so I'll leave it at that. Next week, yeah, I think I'm done with this topic because I could get into detail and I could upset a lot of people. So yeah, I just won't. Actually, I'll end the wedding topic off with this. When I was planning the wedding, a lot of people were telling me like, oh, you gotta do what makes you happy. You gotta, don't feel obligated to invite anybody. Don't feel like you need to do certain things. And like, you're absolutely right, especially if I'm paying for it on my own. So let me just put this out there. So I have it on recording. So, there's no confusion. Um, Both the family and, outside of family, friends or just people I talk to, just know that if you're not invited to my wedding, it's nothing personal necessarily. There's plenty of people I wanted to invite. There's plenty of old teachers who were like mentors to me, whether it was in music and theater that I would have loved to invite, but I just can't. There's extended family members, like cousins and stuff that I would have loved to invited, but I just can't afford it. I would have loved to have the kids of my family, like my cousin's kids. I would have loved to have them at the wedding, but I can't afford it. So yeah, there definitely are going to be people that aren't invited that I'm really upset about, but it is what it is. And then there's people I don't want there that won't be invited. They can be butthurt all they want, but it's my day, it's our day. And if I don't want you there, you're not going to be there. So I am going to be going back through my save the dates. There are definitely people I sent save the dates to that won't be getting invitations. And there's people that didn't get save the dates that will get invitations. So yeah, I got to go back over that. But yeah, on that note, I think I'm done with that topic because I can get really into it, but y'all don't need all that. A few exciting things coming up in my life real quick, other than my wedding. We're moving soon, so luckily you'll be seeing a different setting in the background in the next few weeks. So I'm excited about that. Shout out to my grandparents because that's how that opportunity came about. And cool thing, because this is actually on the topic with weddings, because it's with who I'm marrying. So fun fact, my sister, the house I'm moving into, my sister and brother-in-law used to live there. And I used to spend like almost every weekend there. And there was like a spare bedroom in the basement. And that was like basically my bedroom. And I'd like be there every weekend. And it's funny, while I'd be there, I'd always be up late. This was like 2013, 2014, I think. Yeah, like 2013, 2014. I'd always be up late talking to somebody. Nothing crazy, nothing intimate or anything. Just, venting or just talking, wasting time. And it's funny, and this is how, like, I always say everything happens for a reason. Things are meant to be. It's funny because that person that I would spend, all these nights talking to on the phone, while I was at my sister's, while I was in that, bedroom in the basement, that spare bedroom, that person is the person I am marrying, and we are now moving into that house together. I just think that's the coolest little story. All right, no more. Gross emotions. Ew. All right, so next week, I'll explain why I'm getting into this, but next week we're gonna talk about something that happened years ago to me. I actually made a YouTube video about it, like 5 years ago. I made a YouTube video about, basically I was in this relationship in college, and it was just very toxic. It was very abusive. I was being physically abused, emotionally abused, verbally abused. I made a YouTube video about it afterwards, after, I finally got out of it and like felt safe to talk about it. I finally, I made a YouTube video. So if you want to look for it before next week's podcast, it's about 5 years ago on my channel, and it's called True Story. And the reason I'm bringing it back up is because, I know that after I broke up with this person, after I left that situation, I asked people to, don't communicate with her, don't, delete her off Facebook, all that stuff, because, it was bad. After we broke up, she was telling people I was the abusive one. She was telling all these people all these lies that was like putting a really bad, image on my name. It was just so messed up. Like, I had to put up with all this, and then at the end of the day, I was getting blamed for all this stuff that was happening to me. Like, I was the one abusing her. I was the one, whatever. And it's just gross because, like, to this day, 6 years later, I still see people friends with that person on Facebook, wishing them well, wishing them happy birthdays, this, that, whatever. I just think that's so disgusting. Especially after I literally made it public what I went through, what happened, y'all are still... That's crazy, but we'll get into it next week. But yeah, until then, that's what I gotta say. If I missed anything, I'll come back next week. We're around that 15-minute mark, baby. So, yeah. All right. Well, stay beautiful. Don't judge people. Don't be a dick. And if you know who you are, if you're still, in relations with the person we'll be talking about next week, I suggest you change that. I suggest you delete them off Facebook, stop communicating with them because, I'm not afraid to call people out. But until then, peace out, Girl Scouts.